Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, thanks for joining us. We're here for season 11 here at Long Beach. We've got Cobb about to start the race on pole. Just behind him, John Boy. Obviously, good mates them pair. They'll be looking off to get a good start and keep Mike as far behind as they can, as both of them are in contention for the championship, along with Mike obviously leading currently. So we've got 45 seconds until we can get things going. These drivers this evening have got, well, the whole championship really. They can either, it's fixed setups in this championship, so they can either go for a loose or stable setup. Both have completely different feelings and completely different top speeds, really. It depends if you want to have lots of grip or not, really. So the lights are about to go and we are underway shortly here at Long Beach, and there we go. And it looks like Cobb gets away nicely, and I think John Boy's just going to try and slot in behind as we head down towards turn 1 for the first time this evening. And it looks like Mike's trying to go around the outside. We might be 3 wide into turn 1. Cobb goes defensive on the inside, and further back we're going 4 or 5 wide maybe. Cobb's going defensive on the inside. Mike's trying to go around the outside. Does he clip the wall? Everyone makes it round safely. That is brilliant driving from everyone. Mike's on the inside. A bit of contact. Oh, and Mike's sideways out of turn 2. Everyone managed to get through safely. And Mike, very aggressive there. It looks like he wants to get underway and get away this evening. And try and... Oh, there's a crash in the background. We have got a caution here in the background containing Ryan and a few other drivers. I can't see who that was, but up at the front we've got Mike trying to hold off Cobb at the moment. Obviously Cobb is a driver to watch this evening, sitting on pole by over 3/10 a lap. Will he be able to keep up that pace is the question at the moment. And this first lap is just all about trying to get yourself as far forward as you can and away from all the danger that might happen behind. As we saw there, a crash into turn 4. And we're 2 wide there between Grandad Stee and Cobb. And someone's round in the background. Who is that? I think that's Cobb. That's Cobb! So Cobb's had an issue there into the last sector. And I think that was a bit of contact with Grandad Stee. So Cobb needs to try and collect himself now. We've still got 18.5 minutes to go. So he's got plenty of time to get himself back up towards those leading boys. If he can get some draft. If he didn't get damaged then from that issue. So we've got, as we head on to the second lap, we've got, and if the cameras can catch up, we've got John Boy and the Mutts Nuts quite close together here as we go through turn 1. Pot, Pippa Rex all over the back of John Boy there. Let's try and jump on board and see what it's like from the perspective of John Boy there. So this is your battle for 3rd position. The Mutts Nuts just rubbing the wall there. He's not going to clip the apex. John Boy might try and get a run on him into turn 6. And John Boy isn't going to be too happy at the moment. Obviously he's only just under 60 points behind Mike in the championship. As we're 2 wide now, coming down towards turn 8. Is John Boy going to try and go outside? No. And he's a very sensible driver, is John Boy. There's no way he'd make it round there safely. So further back we have got Charlie Goff in the pit lane. An early pit stop for him. He looks like he was collected in that crash on the first lap at turn 4. Andy's down towards the back, obviously. Andy's your usual commentator, but he's decided to jump in a racing seat this evening. He's having a good battle with a few drivers for the top 6 position, as Cobb's now leading this group through. So and heading down towards turn 1 now. We've got John Boy still sat behind the Mutts Nuts. And it looks like Mike's trying to extend his gap between himself and Grandad Stee, as that last lap he was a second quicker than Grandad Stee. John Boy trying any way possible to try and get in front of the Mutts Nuts now, as he knows that gap's going out and he needs to get up there ASAP with only 16 minutes to go in this race. But obviously with these little cars not having much power, it's all about trying to keep your flow around these corners and trying to stay off the brakes as much as you can. Let's see how that gap's going. That battles going on further back between Cobb and he looks like he's pulled a gap on the drivers behind us. He's catching up to Park Pooper Rex now. So he'll shortly be in the top 5, trying to regain some sort of form. Obviously after his, if he did miss it on lap 1 at this exact corner, a slight bit of contact I think between himself and Grandad Steed. And before he knew it, he was facing backwards, so he's working well to get himself back up towards the top 5 position. He will have some clean air after he gets past Party Poupet. And back towards your leader now as we're a quarter of the way through the race, and it is Mike, your current championship leader, who is out in front, showing everyone how it's done by the looks of it. As he heads down towards turn 1, it's so tight here at turn 1. As you can see, that curb on the inside is quite large and it will throw the car over towards the right. If you hit it wrong, then end up in the wall. We saw some of those issues in practice this evening as someone looks like they're running wide there in the background. And it's the Much scraping the wall there again. He's coming under a lot of pressure now from John Boy. John Boy might get the run here, and the side by side onto the back straight, heading towards turn 6. John Boy's going to be on the outside though, and the Much gives him the position, and John Boy moves up to 3rd. Further back, Cobb has now got past Park Pooper, so he's into a top 5 position, trying to regain, like I said, what he can. Ozzy Elby trying to hold off Connor, and we've got Ryan in the pits now for, well, he's coming out of the pits after a pit stop. Looks like he had some damage from that earlier incident as well. So into the last sector, the Much trying to hold on to John Boy, but John Boy knows he's got to try and close down that gap to our leaders, Grandad Steve and Mike, if he's going to be able to do anything for the rest of this championship. Obviously after this evening we've only got 2 rounds left at the Nürburgring, and then we've got the usual Monza sprint. So he hasn't got much time really to try and gain as many points on Mike as he can if he wants to win this championship. As you can see, the gap there between your leaders and John Boy as Mike comes through with turn 1, then Grandad Steve, and then we've got John Boy sliding. Oh, and he's very close to the wall that time through, so we can tell he is pushing. Obviously last time your race leader was setting the fastest laps, consistent 129s from Mike this evening, as I've seen. We've got 7 minutes to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know your thoughts, who is going to win this race, in the comments down below. As we come onto the back straight, everyone seems to have spaced himself out now. As John Boy really close to the wall that time through, onto turn 7 and turn 8. We can tell he's trying to close that gap down. It'll be interesting to see what sort of lap time it will be for himself this time. He's got to be up there for the fastest lap of the race. As down the bottom right, you can see there, though, Cobb sets the fastest lap of the race so far. I think that is a 129.3, so he's absolutely flying his way through the field at the moment. He's still in 5th position though. He's trying to close that gap down to the Much, and then he'll soon be on to John Boy. So it's going to be quite a good battle towards the end. We've only got 12 minutes to go, so it looks like it might all come together towards the end. And on to lap 6 this time. Now, as you can see in the background there, Cobb slipstreaming the Much across the line. Let's jump on board with Cobb and see what's happening down into turn 1. You can see he's using all the revs he can, and he's going to try and get in the inside. He's looking at it, and he doesn't this time. He keeps it safe, as you saw there, the front wheel lifting on that curb. If you get that wrong, you'll know about it. And under all sorts of pressure now, the Much as we head up to turn 4 and get a good run out of turn 5 now. He might be able to make a move into turn 6, but they both get a good run, so it's not going to help him. Further up towards the front, Grandad Steve in the next couple of laps is going to come under quite a lot of pressure, I reckon, from John Boy. But unfortunately, it looks like it's a little bit too late for John Boy to make any sort. Oh, Grandad Steve's backwards on turn 8. There is a caution at turn 8. Ladies and gentlemen, this might be an issue for the drivers coming around as Grandad Steve pulls away safely. And that is very unfortunate there for Grandad Steve. He just might have felt the pressure of John Boy behind him, and a slight little issue on the brakes and suddenly you're in the wall around here. That's the truth of this track, that there is no forgiving parts, where usually at the likes of Monza, sorry, where we have got runoff, there's absolutely none of it here. And across the line, John Boy to start lap 7. He's got quite a gap between himself and Mike and the cars behind him. So let's see what he can do this time round. Mike's still in the 129s consistently, so he looks pretty content to take the victory in the sprint race this evening. And as I say that now, Cobb has made his move on the Mutsnut. So your 1-2-3 on the road is your 1-2-3 in the championship, with Smoky Devil 4th currently in the championship, but he's down in 9th position this evening. It's just not meant to be by the looks of it for Smoky Devil this evening, but we've still got 2 rounds to go after this evening, so we'll have to see what he can do. Grandad Steve's now pitted after that unfortunate hit into the wall, and the Mutsnut does the same, but he gets away with it. He might have collected a bit of damage onto his left hand suspension. And let's see what John Boy's going to do this lap. Is he going to close that gap down to Mike as we go through the last corner now? You can see Mike in the distance, but is that gap coming down? And let's see what the fastest lap at the moment is. So it is, and it is, yes, it's Mike with the fastest lap of the race so far. So last lap, it was a 1:30.2 for John Boy, so he just isn't closing that gap down to Mike at the moment. Whether that's down to him not feeling comfortable after seeing Grandad Steve put it in the wall, or if he just doesn't have it this evening, he just doesn't have the pace. But he's going to be, I think he's going to be pleased with 2nd position, as he's there on 2 wheels, so he must be pushing as he heads up to turn 5. And that's Grandad Steve, you can see in the distance there, who's come out of the pit lane and is being lapped by your race leader. Unfortunate for himself, obviously, and he was in 2nd position only 5 minutes ago, and now he's being lapped by the race leader. It's just how things can happen here at Long Beach, and we've seen it previously. And I'm sure we'll see it again at some point this evening. So further back, it looks like we've got a bit of a battle going on between Aussie Albie and Connor. Connor trying to chase down Aussie Albie for 7th position now. Let's jump aboard, and Aussie Albie locking up on the brakes there into the back straight out of turn 8. Manages to get away with it though. Let's see what's going to happen into the last sector now. Connor needs to try and get a good run through this last sector to slipstream Aussie Albie down to turn 1. Oh, Connor doesn't get the good run, and he's late on the brakes into turn 9, and that, I think, has messed up his chances of getting the overtake done in the next lap. And so that gap between your leader and John Boy now has got out to 5 seconds, as we can just slightly see him in the distance there. And I think that's the first lap this evening we've seen Mike doing the 1:30, so he's starting to drop the pace now slightly, just so he's not pushing, just so he doesn't make the same mistake the likes of Grandad Steve made, where slightly late on the brakes, that half a millisecond, and suddenly you're in the wall. It's just not worth it for him at the minute. He's got that 5-second gap, so there's no point in him pushing. Connor's still trying to close that gap down between himself and Aussie Albie. Just behind them, 10 seconds further back, Smoky Devil looks pretty content in 9th position. As Ryan, rounding up the top 10, comes across the line. He's going to start lap 9. And further back, himself and Grandad Steve, who obviously have both had their own misfortune this evening. I think Charlie Goff was caught up in that first lap crash, the same as Revolt Detailer. Let's see, Andy He's sat P6. He's side by side with Party Pooper and Andy on the outside. Is he going to be able to get the run? Obviously, it's shorter on the inside, the actual track distance. Party Pooper slightly edging in front. He's trying to push Andy wide as they head down towards turn 1. Who's going to be the latest on the brakes? Andy has to succumb to Party Pooper's aggressive driving, and this is a brilliant battle between these pair at the moment. As they come through turn 2, turn 3 now. Andy trying to put Party Pooper under some pressure. Let's jump on board and see what it's like from Andy's perspective. It's not very often we see this perspective. Andy usually in the commentary booth, but he has decided to race this evening, so you're joined by myself, Diabetic Lamb, as we head down towards turn 6. Party Pooper getting out of shape there. He's not going to have the best run into turn 8. Andy, I think, just dropped a gear there. Just looking here, the revs aren't too high, but he's hitting his lines right, so he's getting a good flow onto the back straight. Now heading down towards turn 9. Party Pooper going defensive. Let's see from the trackside cameras now what's going on as they head towards the last sector. And Andy trying to take a wider line to get a good run onto the home straight. Will anything happen this time through down towards turn 1? Heading down towards turn 1 now, we've got Grandad Steve and Charlie who are very close. They're battling as well. Let's see if Andy manages to make the move this time through turn 1. Doesn't look like he'll be close enough. And it looks like them pair are actually catching up to, I think, where's that? I think that's a lapped driver in front. So it looks like Charlie's dropped off slightly from Grandad Steve. So Grandad Steve trying to get a charge on now to catch up slightly if he can. He's unfortunately got 15-second gap to the next driver, who is Ryan, so it doesn't look like he's going to be able to close that up in the next couple of seconds. Next couple of minutes, sorry. As these pair are still battling out, and it looks like, who's that trying to catch up behind? And it's the Mutsnuts who is about to lap these drivers. Obviously he won't want to intervene with this battle, but at the same time he'll want to get past and not get involved. So we're watching the battle for... Oh, and sorry, so it looks like the Mutsnuts has got past these pair. I apologise. Wait, no. This is a battle for 4th position. Oh, right. I do apologise. I thought the Mutsnuts was lapping this pair. The old calculations weren't going the best. So this is your battle for 4th position as Party Pooper pulls to the inside there and takes 4th position like that all over the Mutsnuts, as he looks like he got a better run. The Mutsnuts, oh, and he tries to go for the inside, didn't see Andy on the inside there. And a bit of contact, a bit of door rubbing, but still get through safely, and it looks like Party Pooper's up to 4th. Andy going for the inside though, into turn 4, and he doesn't manage to get it done. But he knows that Party Pooper's under pressure now. Let's jump on board with the Mutsnuts and see what it's like sitting in this battle with only 2 minutes to go. And he's a bit late on the brakes there, running a little bit wide. He's going to stay in the slipstream though. I think the Mutsnuts has got damaged by the looks of it with the pace he's pushing around here. He's just not managing to keep up with these boys too well. As we pull onto the back straight now, is Andy going to be able to do anything onto Party Pooper? And he's starting to drop back slightly. I don't know whether Andy's got damage now as well. Oh, a slight tap of the wall there, and he takes out the Mutsnuts. Oh dear me. They managed to get away with it though safely as they all come down the home straight. The Party Pooper is away and flying now with only a minute and 20 to go. Your race leader is still Mike as he comes through turn 5 to head onto the back straight shortly. John Boy's still at 4.2 seconds, so that gap really hasn't come down, but Mike just pleased to drop the pace slightly now, as he's doing 1:30.9. So John Boy, that lap's closed the gap down 9/10, but it's just too little too late at this point for himself, unfortunately. Cobb's managed to pull himself back up to third position. He'll be pleased with that under the circumstances of the first lap. If he did miss it, unfortunate bit of contact between himself and Grandad's steam. Before he knew it, he was facing backwards. He's managed to get himself back up onto that podium. As I said before, your current championship standings are as follows on the grid currently. So you've got Mike leading the championship, John Boy second, and Cobb rounding up your podium. So it looks like it'll stay the same, obviously, after the sprint race, with John Boy not going to be too pleased because he's not going to be closing that gap down on the championship, but I think he'll be happy with second around here. As we know, we've got damage on, and there was first lap, there was a bit of contact out of turn 4. Some drivers got through, some drivers didn't, and that therefore is why we got the likes of Charlie Goff down his 12th position. And we're on to the last lap now, ladies and gentlemen, as your race leader pulls out of turn 5, heading down towards turn 6. You can see John Boy in the distance in the background, and Cobb now pulling out of turn 5. It looks like we're going to have a good battle between those three in the feature race. Obviously, if you do stick with us, the feature race is going to be the one to watch, as we do reverse the grid we've currently got. So the likes of Grandad Steve's unfortunately hit the wall coming out of turn 8, who was in second position. Will he be able to get away off the start in the feature race and just lead the race and off he goes? Or will we see the likes of Mike, John Boy and Cobb come through the pack and get themselves up there to battle for the win? And around the last corner for the last time in this sprint race here at round 4 of season 11 Motive Racing Clio Cup. Mike is your winner, and he's going to take the full 50 points. A flash of the lights, and John Boy taking second. He should be happy with that. Cobb taking third, as we see him shortly come across the line now. And what's happening here between this battle between Park Pipper, and it doesn't look like Andy's going to be able to get that position. He's going to stick with the top 5, but he's not going to get 4th this evening in the sprint race. As it comes down to the line, is it going to be a sprint finish, a photo finish? And it's not. It's a little bit too late for Andy there. And Ozzy Albi is going to take 6th after what was, unfortunately, I think he was part of the crash in lap 1, so he should be pleased with that. As he comes across the line in 7th, we've got Connor. 8th, the Mutts Nuts. I think he was carrying damage there, obviously battling for 4th position at 1.5 minutes ago, and he's dropped down to 8th. Smoky Devil comes across the line to take 9th. I don't think he'll be too happy with that, obviously running 4th in the championship currently, as Ryan comes through the last sector now. He's going to round up your top 10 in the sprint race this evening. And I think the other drivers have finished the race, so yes, it is just Ryan we're waiting for now. There we go, flash of the lights from Ryan as he rounds up your top 10. So as you can see there, Mike takes the victory, and I think he takes the fastest lap as well, as he takes the victory by 5 seconds on John Boy. Then in 3rd we've got Cobb. 4th we've got Park Pooper. Running up your top 5 is Andy. Then we've got Ozzy Albi, Connor, the Mutts Nuts, Smoky Devil and Ryan, and Grandad Steve in 11th. I think then it was Charlie. So up next, obviously, we've got the feature race. We will reverse the grid now. Right, we have got Cobb here joining us in the commentary booth.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you loud and clear. So obviously, Cobb, what were your thoughts on the first race? Obviously, we saw a bit of contact between yourself and Steve heading into turn 9. You put yourself on pole, heading down to turn 1. It looked a bit of carnage. What were your thoughts after that?
Yeah, it's just a bit of close racing, isn't it? You know how it is, especially around the street circuit. So that
Yeah.
was all right. It's
You had a
contact, mate. It was all right. I mean, I managed to get back to first, so I was all right with that. And at the end of the day, it's a street circuit. There's always going to be contact. And Steve, I could hear him on the chat anyway, and he do apologise. So all is well, mate.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear anyway. We saw you coming back through the pack really fast. What are your thoughts ahead of this race? Are you going to be able to do the same with obviously more drivers in front of you?
Wow, just as long as I can keep John Boy and make behind me.
Yeah, I mean, you're
That's the
currently
main
third in the championship. That's what I think your thoughts should be. Obviously,
aim.
only 40 points behind John Boy heading into tonight. That might have gone out slightly with you just finishing behind him that one. So,
Yeah.
good luck for the feature race. Cobb, we'll catch up with you afterwards.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers, buddy.
So we're just seeing the drivers now having a 5-minute practice before this evening's feature race. And we've got Andy
mate, just a quick one. We're just starting a new lobby because I did it wrong.
The usual Andy incident here at Motive. What were your thoughts of your first race of season 11, Andrew?
I think it's nice to get back out on track, to be honest. It's been a while since I've raced at Motive competitively, so it's nice to get in amongst the action. I got punted round on that one.
Oh, is that the incident at turn 4?
Yeah, I got punted round into the roundabout. I don't know who it was, but somebody gave me a little bit of encouragement, and I was about 10 seconds off of the pace with a bit of damage. So,
yeah,
damage imitation from there, really.
I mean, that's what I was just mentioning to Cobb. Obviously, we might see this sort of issue heading into the feature race now, where the faster boys are going to want to get through from the start, but obviously they're not going to be able to because the track's so tight.
Definitely. I don't know if it's going to kick me out of this party when I set up this session. I'm just starting it up now, but if I just suddenly disappear, you know why anyway.
Yeah, we saw that obviously with your battle, Andy, with Party People and the Mutsnuts. It looked like the Mutsnuts had a bit of damage when you lot were battling for P4, and then obviously he finished P8 in the end.
Yeah, he picked up a bit more damage because as we were coming out of the last corner, I lost it in front of him and sort of went into the side of him. I would have. It wasn't like a big moment for me. I would have caught it if he hadn't been there, but obviously because I was sideways and he was there, we ended up tangled together. He ended up in the wall. It would have been, if it hadn't been for the fact that he was next to me, it would have been like a sort of like I would have lost a couple of tenths, but I would have caught it. It wasn't a big slide. It was just a little bit of a off trajectory moment.
No, we did see that, and then obviously Party People got a gap then, but you did manage to close that down. So whether you had more pace than Party People, obviously in the end you did finish slightly behind him, but it's something.
Yeah, we had a good battle.
Yeah,
we had an enjoyable battle. I ended up with 15. I had 10% damage for most of the race, and then last lap I picked up an extra 5. So I finished the race with 15% damage, which wasn't ideal. I hope that with the sort of pace I had, maybe the raw pace that I've got in the bag, I might be able to maybe match somebody like Cobb, maybe Grandad Steve.
Yeah.
So it could be hope to be in the battle for the podium, but we'll see because I'm down the pack in P9, so it's kind of like a rock and a hard place tonight, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, usually we'd see drivers pitting on the first lap or so to get their pit stop out the way. But it's the thoughts of round here, would you pit early and get that free track to try and push and catch, and then suddenly end up in the wall and then you would pit again?
Honestly, it depends on how... It depends what opens up. I mean, if I'm stuck in traffic and I feel like I'm quicker than the guys in front, I'll probably pull the trigger nice and early.
Yeah.
But if it's a case of I've made really quick progress through the pack, and find myself in, say P4 or 5, so let's say for example, I've ended lap 1, I'll probably just wing it and just try and stay out for as long as possible. It's just going to be about reacting to the situation.
Yeah.
I don't really make a plan. You can't really make a plan because with incidents and with stuff going on around you, it can all go out of the window very quickly. So, yeah, it's just going to be about reacting to what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, around here, especially from what we saw in the sprint race, it was 3-4 wide into turn 1, which isn't going to end well, so we'll just have to see what happens, like you said.
Absolutely. I actually ended up in this party chat by accident, Diabetic, because what happened was, when I left to make a new lobby, and I just jumped. Yeah, just put me straight back in the buy. But it's been good though. It's been good to reflect on the first race, and obviously we have got 13 drivers in the lobby, which is confusing. I think somebody might have missed off. Oh, please don't tell me somebody's missed out again.
No, you had 13
Please.
drivers in the other race.
Was there 13? Are you sure there wasn't? I think there was 14.
Positive.
Oh no, because Beam Basher left, so we had. Yeah, I remember now. It's okay. God, I was heart in mouth time for a moment, thinking, oh my God, have we had another part pooper incident like last week? But I think we're all good. I know part pooper's definitely in here, so it's not going to be the same person missing out 2 weeks in a row. Obviously, I need to make sure the standings reflect that last week. I was going to give him double points for his sprint race last week to make up for the fact that he didn't get an invite to the feature race. So I need to make sure I do that at the end of tonight as well. Still, I think it's going to be an interesting feature race, Diabetic, because with the reverse grid around a tightly congested circuit such as Long Beach, there's not really much room for error. So it's going to be about, I think, who can keep themselves out of trouble.
Yeah,
Hopefully
and I mean, is it 50 points for the win in the feature?
It's the same points for the sprint and the feature. The reason for that is because the sprint has got qualifying sessions, so I kind of like the justification for it is that essentially the qualifying is almost like it kind of sets the grid for the race, so it's kind of part of the race in a sense. So that's the justification for having the same points available for the sprint as the feature.
So is that 50?
Do you know what?
I'm just on it now. No, it's 50 points for the win. It says here on Simulink Pro.
50, yeah. I thought.
So I'm just trying to figure out.
Like
obviously, if obviously Mike's starting behind everyone in this race, and if John Boy does manage to get away, then he is going to chip away into that gap with it only being less than 40 points, maybe more now after that first race.
Yeah, it's going to be. He's definitely opening up a bit, but it's still within a race win. So. It's not over till it's over. I've been commentating on this championship since the first round of this season. This is obviously the first race that I've been able to take part in, but it's generally Mike's been really consistently up there, hasn't he? He's been out on track, so he's always scoring podiums. Two of the 3 rounds this season, he's taken a clean sweep, and then Silverstone National is the only one that he hasn't taken a perfect set of points. He's rapid in these Clios. He's decent in the BMW on touring cars on Thursday, but my God, in the Clios, he's something else. And I'm seeing that, in that race just gone there, I was, even at my best, even when I was putting in consistently quick laps, I was still half a second a lap off of his pace. He's seriously, he's rapid.
Yep. I was mentioning him when I was looking and watching John Boy, and John Boy was clipping curbs and scraping walls. I was thinking he was closing that gap down, but Mike was still managing to do 1 minute 29 laps consistently, and that gap just wasn't coming down. And it's just like
even with little mistakes. Wow. Yeah, yeah. It's something else, but I mean, hopefully we can sort of hold position on him. Being quick is one thing, and being able to do it out front, but when you're having to make your way back through the pack, there's so many different variables. Obviously, you've got the dirty air of the cars in front. How would he react to having to maybe drive the car slightly more conservatively? There's so many different things that you've got to take into account. So I think the guys in front of him are just going to have to make their cars as wide as possible. I certainly won't be waving him through, and I can't imagine that any of the other guys in front of me are going to be doing that either. So no. I think it's going to be interesting, isn't it? But
yeah, best of luck. I'll let you jump in game chat.
Yeah, I better make sure they know the grid order. Cheers, Diabetic. Catch you later.
So a slightly longer interview from usual. Commentator who has jumped in a driving seat this evening and is taking part. He'll be starting P9, I think he said, for this feature race. Obviously, with it being reverse grid, we're going to have the likes of Grandad Stee and Charlie Goff up towards the front, which is really going to play into their arms. Obviously, in the sprint race we saw, unfortunately, Grandad Stee crashing out of P2, having to head to the pits and try and redeem what he could from that situation. As we're about to head out onto the warm-up lap now, as all the drivers are going to get themselves into position. we saw there Mike just heading to the back of the grid with John Boy. And it looks like it's going to be Revolt that's going to head to the line first. So we've just got the drivers warming up the tyres and brakes at the moment. As you can see, we're now racing at night time, so we've got the full lights on, the headlights on. And we've just got to bear in mind that that is going to cool down everyone's tyres and brakes, so they've got to try and keep them warm on this outlap here at Long Beach for round 4 of the season. It's the feature race, the last race of the evening. We've got 22 laps. So your grid order as we head down the back straight now. We're going to have Revolt Detailer on, heading down into turn 1 first, hopefully, with Charlie Goff just behind him, Grandad Steve 3rd. Got Ryan 4th, Smokey Devil 5th, Connor 6th, the Muttnut 7th, Ozzy LB 8th, Andy 9th, Party Pooper 10th, Cobb 11th, John Boy 12th, and obviously Mike starting at the back of the grid. Let's see what these boys can do from the back as we head up towards the grid now. The question is, when is Revolt going to go? Let's try and jump on board and see when this happens. As you can hear, the revs are still low. And he's gone, and he's gone, he's gone. So there we go, the race is underway here now as we go across the line and head down towards turn 1. And it looks like he's got a really decent start there, a gap, plenty enough out towards, and a flash of the lights there from Charlie just saying, please turn your lights on, Revolt. We won't be able to see you otherwise. And it looks like the drivers all behind are getting through quite cleanly as we head through the roundabout for the first time. Everyone's still in the same position as they were as they went across the line. So Mike not able to make up at any time as they headed down towards turn 1. Heading down towards turn 6. Revolt still keeping the lead as he's sideways there. Manages to keep his position. Someone might be on the inside. A flash of the lights there from someone. And all the drivers safely through onto the back straight out of turn 8. We're 3 wide though, heading down towards turn 9. And Grandad Steve takes the lead all on the inside. Oh, and he hits the wall. Oh no, we've got drivers backwards. We've got a caution heading out to turn 9, sorry. And watch out on the exit. And who is that there? Oh, and it's Grandad Steve again, the same corner on lap 1 in the sprint race. We saw him have a slight bit of contact with Cobb, but this time he comes off a lot worse as it is Revolt Detailer that keeps the lead, and we've got drivers heading for the pits at the end of lap 1, so it's John Boy, Cobb and Grandad Steve obviously heading into the pit lane. Mike stays out, doesn't feel like he's losing too much time at the moment, so he's going to keep trucking away there in 10th position, sorry. And Ryan Meeble under pressure from Revolt now as they head up towards turn 4. And Revolt goes up the inside. He's going to be able to keep it. What a lovely little battle going on between these three. It looks like it's going to be 3 wide as we head down towards turn 6. Revolt gets on the brake as late as he can, and he runs wide and hits the wall. Unfortunately, he might have got damage there, and the issue is here, if you hit the wall head on, that you're going to be getting headlight damage and possibly not be able to see too much. So Mike, your championship leader, trying to close down and claim as many positions as he can. Flash the lights there saying, please let me through, I need to get through. These drivers not giving any inch to Mike though at the moment, and I think he might dive for the pits this lap. There we go, in the pits he goes. Was it Mike? No, it wasn't. It was Andy that headed for the pits that time. So Andy feels like he's been held up. As Ryan and Charlie are too wide now, heading down towards turn 1. Ryan's on the inside. Will he be able to get this done? And a lovely move there from Charlie. And Andy just heading into his pit crew now. Will John Boy be able to make it? Let's get the map up and see where these drivers are going to come out now. So Andy unfortunately looks like he missed his pit box the first time. Let's see where John Boy is on track as he just comes through the start finish. Now will he beat these drivers out of the pit lane? And your provisional race leader then it is John Boy with Cobb. And oh, is he just beat? He's just got in front of the Mutsnuts there. So it's Charlie Goff side by side with Ryan again. Charlie on the inside. Will he be able to keep the position into turn 9? Will he run wide? Ryan trying to come around the outside in turn 10. A little tap there saying, I'm still here, Charlie, from Ryan as he head out of the last corner. And there's a battle going on for the last spot on the podium currently between Mike and Revolt Detailer. Hold on, Revolt. Stick with him. I'm sure you can overtake him again at some point. As we head down to turn 1 for the 5th time. Revolt slightly wide there. Is he going to be able to keep it? Oh, he's sideways and he manages to keep it only just using all of the track there. Andy just trying to hold on to the Mutsnuts at the moment, trying to slipstream him slightly. Looks like Mutsnuts going defensive there down the home straight. Back at your front, it is Charlie and Ryan who are battling it out at the moment. And this is only playing into the hands of Mike, John Boy and Cobb currently really. As we know, the pit lane here is around 40 seconds long and they're only 29 seconds back, these boys, so how true that 40 seconds is I don't know. As we head down towards turn 9, they're two side by side. And Ryan having the inside line this time through. Is Charlie going to be able to go with the inside into the last corner? No. He manages to keep it safe. It looks like Andy's now catching up to the Mutsnuts. We've got Mike in the pit lane. Your championship leader is now in the pit lane. So he's decided now's the time to go in the pit. So let's see on the map where that's going to bring him out in comparison to John Boy, who's your provisional race leader as he comes through the last sector. As you can see there, stopped on the red line is Mike, and just about to come across the line, and he's moving again is Mike. So John Boy, it's going to be very close actually. Let's have a look on the cameras. It looks like he's going to take the lead. There we go, you can see. Looks like Cobb might come through as well. And yes, so Cobb's come through as well. So it's now John Boy taking the provisional race lead with Cobb behind and Mike third. With the Mutsnuts and Andy not too far behind. And obviously at the moment we know what it's like when you make a mistake around this track. We saw Grandad Steve crash out of P2 in the sprint race and he ended up finishing 10th, so fingers crossed we don't see any more of that, but it's very easily done around this circuit with no runoff. So these pairs still battling out. It looks like Ryan's pulled a slight gap on Charlie as we head across the line. It's a 1.4 second gap now between these pair. The Mutt's still under pressure from Andy as they head out of turn 8, heading down that long back straight towards turn 9 in the last sector. As you can see there in front, that red car is Mike, so if these pairs stop battling, Mike will pull a gap and get away, so they need to just work together and slipstream. Andy going up the inside, heading on towards the last corner. And obviously the last corner being a right-hander, that was never going to work for Andy, but it's a good try. Rubbin's racing, as they say, but they just need to work together to try and close this gap on Mike if they want to stand on the podium this evening. So your provisional race leader at the moment is John Boy. He's currently second in the championship. He's around 50 points behind Mike in the championship, so this is going to help him try and get some more points and close that gap down. We've got 2 rounds to the championship to go after this evening, which is Nürburgring and Monza Short, so he's going to have 4 more chances to try and stand on that top step and see if he could knock Mike off. So last time around Andy was 3/10. No. It was 3/10 faster than the Nuts. So let's see what he can do this time as they come out of turn 8. Turn 8 is so crucial to get right. Obviously, if you want to run slightly wide, then you're hitting the tyre wall, but at the same time, you really want to get a good run down towards turn 9. With it being such a fast corner here into the last sector, it's really crucial to get a good run out of that turn 8. And the same for this corner here. Obviously the Mustang's ran wide there, and he's in the pit wall, and it looks like Andy's got away with that one as he's going to take P7 and he's going to try and close that gap down now to Mike. He's got a 4-second gap. We'll have to see what he can do with. We're nearly at half race distance, so he's still got plenty of time to go, as it looks like Charlie's come out of the pit lane in front of him now. Oh, and Andy's wide out turn 1, he's hit the pit wall. The question though is, did he get any damage from that one? So, the current race leader Ryan obviously still hasn't pitted currently, but he's running consistent there up at the front. 131 lap times. Obviously now we're driving it at night time, it won't be as fast as he dives into the pit lane. Your provisional race leader will be Port Pupa Rex, unless he dives in the pit lane as well. It looks like he has. So we are going to have a, I think, possible new race leader at the end of this lap. Let's watch the map on the top right of your screen and see. So Ryan's now moving down the pit lane, which is ever so long here at Long Beach. As you can see, the little dots on the top right coming down the track now are the drivers. So it's John Will leading the way with Cobb heading over the finish line now. As you can hear them going past, so John Boy, Cobb, and will Mike get past? And Mike doesn't, so Ryan manages to keep in P3. Oh no, apologies, and Mike looks like he did get past. Only just though, only just. So Mike now going to be coming under some pressure from Ryan as they head out onto lap 9 of the feature race here. So I think pretty much all drivers have done their mandatory pit stops now. So the standings you're seeing on the left hand of your screen are as it should be. And the only issue is now obviously all the drivers that have done the pit stops, if they do crash, then that's another time they're going to have to spend in that pit lane. And it looks like we've got a driver stopped at the top right of your screen. And it looks like it was Revolt. A lot of damage on that Clio there for Revolt. There's no point heading into the pit lane. He may as well head to the scrapyard by the looks of it there. I think he will need a detailing kit for that car. And he's going to dive into the pit lane and say, pit crew, do your absolute best for me. And What's Nuts comes out of the pit lane now after his mandatory pit stop. As your race leaders now come across the line to reach half race distance shortly. And Cobb looks like he's closing that gap down as he heads into the 129s now. So it's only 1 second between your race leader and Cobb, and obviously if these pairs start battling, there's a chance of one of them crashing. But at the same time, Mike will be able to catch up, and I think these boys don't want that, as they are both P2 and P3 in the championship. They need as many points as they can in front of Mike, because currently John Boy will be getting 50 points, Cobb will be getting 45, and Mike would only get 40 points, so it's a 10-point deficit for Mike if this was how the race finished now. Also, I've got a little battle for P5 at the moment as Charlie comes around turn 6. He's got Andy putting him under pressure, and Andy's trying to go around the outside into turn 8, and obviously that's not something you can do, but Charlie succumbing to the pressure of Andy, as Andy now in front of Charlie as he got a good run out of turn 8. A flash of the lights saying, well done Andrew, you've learned how to drive. Ozzy Albi there in P7 trying to keep with these boys and just content to sit there to see what happens in front at the moment, I think. So back at the front, John Boy now coming under a lot more pressure from Cobb. Let's jump. Oh, Cobb slaps the wall there out of turn 1. As we can see, he's pushing, and the question is, did he get damage from that? Can we see? No, we can't figure out if he got damage. But out of turn 1 we saw there, Cobb hit the wall, and we'll soon find out if he's got damage, if his pace starts dropping off. And John Boy slightly wide there through turn 6. Cobb manages to close down that gap by half now. You can see how tricky these night conditions are. The tyres won't be up to temperature, the brakes will be cold, and it's pretty much just a guessing game at the moment for these drivers. Really close battle going on between these drivers further back now. A scrape of the wall there from Ozzy Albi as they head out of turn 8 into turn 9 shortly. We're side by side between Charlie and Smoky Devil. A flash of the lights there from Charlie, and he says, okay, you can have it. And Andy looks like he's pulled away from this battle. He said, I'm having none of this, I need to get away before we have a crash. And Revolt Detailer unfortunately looks like he's disconnected, but I'm sure he'll be back on Thursday. Make sure you stick around on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, for the Touring Car Championship, obviously sponsored by Revolt Detailers Company. So if you want to find out more, please head to motivracing.com. And John Boy on his fastest lap of the race so far. He was the fastest in Sector 1, but he's not managing to get rid of Cobb at the moment. Let me see if... So currently Cobb, heading into this evening, was only 40 points behind John Boy, and with him finishing behind John Boy in the last race, he won't be too pleased with that, and he will be wanting to close that gap. So he's going to do everything he can in this last 10 laps now to try and close that gap. Grandersnee's now left the session as well, unfortunately. It just wasn't meant to be this evening with all that damage in the first lap. The car's been retired and the pit crew packed up. And this three-way battle still going on between Ozzy Albi and the two teammates behind Smoky Devil and Charlie Goff. I'm not Let's see what's going on between these boys out of turn 1. A scrape of the wall there from John Boy. He doesn't need those mirrors anyway. Someone's bumper's gone flying through the roundabout as he pulls off to one side. Thank you very much, those boys say. And I think that was the Muts Nuts. Possibly, yes. So 8/10 your gap between John Boy, the race leader, and Cobb with a 3.5 second lead over Mike. John Boy's grin will be ear to ear at the moment as he knows he's collecting 10 more points than the championship leader if this is how the race finishes. And let's figure out if he'll be collecting 11 points, because this evening, as usual, we will be giving a point to the fastest lap. And at the moment it is Mike who's got the fastest lap, so it will only be 9 points that John Boy will be taking. But with the form that Mike's got, you'd be happy with 9 points after his dominant performance in race 1. I'm surprised he hasn't closed that gap down any quicker. But like I've said previously, if this pair start battling, this gap will surely start to come down. And let's see if Smoky Devil's slightly starting to pull away from Charlie and Ozzy LB. As they head out onto lap 14. Oh, and Cobb slaps the wall heading onto the back straight out of turn 5. He's surely got to have got some damage from that one there. I can't tell. I can see the bumper has been erected slightly, so that might be some front end suspension. Let's try and jump on board with him and see if we can see any damage. If he's having to steer the car slightly to one way to coincide the damage he's got. Doesn't look like he's got any issues at the moment. But having aero damage, he will be losing top speed. And obviously he isn't in the slipstream of John Boy, so he might fall in the hands of Mike, and this might come down to a bit of friendsmanship where Cobb says, look, I can't battle for the win now, I'll try and hold off Mike for as long as I can, but I'm not promising anything. The gap goes out ever more. 1.9, nearly 2 seconds as they head down to turn 1. So I think Cobb has gained some aero damage from that slight tap of the wall there. Oh, and he slaps the wall out of turn 1. And it looks like Mike nearly did the same. He was very close there. And that's unfortunate for Cobb, as we saw in the first race. Slight contact with Grandad Steve on the first lap. He put himself on pole. Slight contact from Grandad Steve, spun him around, but he managed to collect himself and head up back to P3, where he started this race from the back of the grid. Obviously P3 from the back, and it's just the way the cookie crumbles, as they say. If you're pushing, then the circumstances change. Mike looks pretty comfortable there, setting 130.3 laps currently. This gap not coming down, neither going out. I mean, in his head at the moment, he's got to be thinking, well, John Boy's taking points off me, but at the same time, I am not pushing it and I am not going to crash this car, hopefully. Smokey and Charlie still driving around together, trying to battle it out for P6. Charlie heading into tonight was 9th in the championship, so he'll be looking to move up if he can. His closest contestant was Average Pool, and it doesn't look like we've got Average Pool here at Long Beach this evening, so he will be moving up. And back to your race leader, who's now pulled out that gap by nearly 3 seconds. So, oh, Cobb's backwards out of turn 5. And Mike moves up to P2, so circumstances just get worse and worse for Cobb this evening. Obviously, we all know Cobb is currently suffering with a wrist ligament issue from work, and this might be partly the issue why he is making so many mistakes in this feature race, just due to him having to drive with one hand. I mean, under the circumstances, it's absolutely phenomenal that he's even racing, never mind battling for the lead. But it's just unfortunate for him that he can't hang on to John Boy and make it all the way to the end with a good battle. But that is going to bring down the points deficit between John Boy and Mike, with John Boy only going to take 5 points extra if he was to win this evening and take the fastest lap, which currently I don't think he is. He's got to somehow find 2.5 tenths with only 5 laps to go, which I don't think he'll do under the circumstances where he doesn't need to push. He's going to take the race win, and yeah, I just don't see it happening, especially knowing that Cobb's just put it in the wall and possibly might drop off the podium now, down to Ryan. Ryan's only 2 seconds behind, obviously having aero and massive suspension damage, I'm guessing, is what's going to be slowing Cobb down now. We can see there, hanging out of turn 5 down to turn 6, Smokey Devil and Charlie still glued together, battling for P6. Andy in a world of his own at the minute, really just driving round. He's got 7-second gap in front to Ryan. He's currently rounding up the top 5 though. He's got a 7-second gap over Smokey, so he can pretty much just relax and bring the car home now at this point. So race leader heads down towards turn 1. Let's jump on board with him and show you how tight turn 2 and turn 3 are as he scrapes the wall there, heading into turn 2. Scrape the wall on the exit and keep it nice and tight to the left, hit the apex, and you can see how steep the curbs are here at Long Beach. As it's not very hard to get up onto 2 wheels and end up hitting the wall. So in the distance in the background there is Mike, as it doesn't look like he's going to be closing that gap down with only 4 laps to go. Cobb currently trying to keep the pace going and defend off Ryan so he can stay on that podium for this evening. Ryan's had a brilliant race, starting obviously from the front. It's worked in his favour, and he's managed to get up to P4. Being a guest driver this evening, he'll be pleased with that result if he stays there for now. Obviously beating Andy as well. He's going to have something to boast about. So we've got Ozzy Albi in the pits now. I'm guessing he's collected some damage, unfortunately, as he drops down to P10 as Connor just comes past him there in the distance. So he's going to have some work to do to try and close down that gap to Connor as Connor comes out of turn 1 now. Smokey Devil and Charlie still driving around together. These pair are they're both matching each other's pace currently, and they have been for half the race at least. And in our sector 1, your race leader, that gap's still staying about the same, but last time round Mike did do a 129.6 with John Boyd 6 tenths slower. So I just think Mike's going to run out of time this race to try and do anything and close that gap, and I think he'd be stupid to start pushing now and try and close the gap down, really, because he's just not going to have the time, and it's not worth bidding it and putting it in the wall for that extra 5 points. So we've got more drivers disconnected, unfortunately. Ozzy Albi, I think that damage that he got, the team have decided to park the car for the evening and head to Nürburgring early. So we're down to 9 drivers now. Obviously all these drivers are going to be getting more points, so it's good for all these 9 as we come across the line now to start the, well, we've got 2 laps to go, not the penultimates, right? And Mike, I think that time around set the fastest lap of the race, 129.4, so, and that is correct, yes, 129.4. Let's jump on board and see how he's going so fast. On a slight cut there of turn 5, but we can just tell how much he's pushing when he's doing those lap times, when he's got fresh air, and you can see John Boy in front. He knows that he doesn't want to give John Boy any championship points. As we head out of turn 8, down this long back straight now, he's going to be using all the gears he's got down here. Hard on the brakes now into turn 9, try to keep it tight but not lose too much speed, and he scrapes the wall there. This is, it's in every apex perfectly, is Mike. Keep it tight out of the last corner as fast as you can get onto that power. I'm sure this lap here is going to be absolutely fantastic from Mike, from what I've seen there. And it's well, it's his fastest lap of the race again. 129.3. The man's on fire. So we're on to the penultimate lap now. We've only got 1 lap to go after this one, as John Boy looks like he's coming up onto some lap traffic shortly. I think that's Connor, who's just heading out of sector 1, and it just looks like it wasn't the night for him, as he's carrying some damage there. And he's still sat there in 5th as he heads into turn 1 on 2 wheels. Already scrapes the wall there, heading on towards turn 2, 3 and 4. I think everyone's got a bit of damage this evening. It's just one of those circuits where that small mistake you could usually get away with, you're just not going to be able to get away with around here. And I say that, but he is closing that gap down on Ryan. It's only 3 seconds now, but I just don't think he's going to have the time to do anything. Is Ryan carrying any? It doesn't look like Ryan's got any damage. A slight bit of bumper damage there by the looks of it. And the race leader now about to cross the line to start his last lap. Just catching up to Connor. And he's now into the 129.6s. A flash of the lights there from Connor saying, I will stay out the way. John Boy says thank you. Down towards turn 1. So if all things go the right way now, it is going to be John Boy that takes the win as he comes out of turn 1 on 2 wheels, styling it out. Heading down towards turn 4 and 5 for the last time this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Through turn 6 this time, managing to keep it smooth. This is not the time to bin it into the wall, John Boy. Out of turn 8, onto the back straight. And Mike, it just looks like he's right at time there. He's managed to get the gap down to 6 seconds. It's 3 seconds, sorry. Flash of the lights there from Mike. He says, well done, John Boy. And just right at time, and he did have the pace, but it's also down to, do you really want to push under these circumstances where we saw Cobb was pushing and ended up in the wall, and now he's dropped down to P3. So your winner of the feature race this evening is John Boy, taking the maximum 50 points. Mike coming home second and taking the fastest lap of the race. It will be Cobb rounding up your podium if Ryan doesn't do something in this last corner, as we see Ryan's closed that gap down massively in this last lap or two. And Cobb going defensive there at the last corner. It's quite a run down to the finish line, so will it be a photo finish or will Cobb get away with it? I think he will. So with bumpers and bits hanging off, it's Cobb that takes third, Ryan takes fourth, Andy comes across the line to take fifth. Smoky Devil will come home with seventh after his long battle with Charlie Goff, and it will be Party Pooper taking eighth, and Connor already crossing the line is going to round up this evening's proceedings in ninth. Let's see who we can get in the commentary booth and have a chat with. So there we go. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, John Boy takes the victory of the feature race this evening. Mike only 3.9 seconds behind, but he does take the extra point for the fastest lap. Cobb finishing third and Ryan finishing fourth. So we've now got your race winner this evening of the feature race in the commentary booth. How did you find that, John Boy? It just looks like you were trying to look after the gap. Obviously, Cobb unfortunately had a few issues, a few wall taps, and I thought he was gonna you were gonna end up getting some team radios on the go and saying, "Hold Mike back for me, hold Mike back." But I don't think that one worked. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. Well, we saw obviously you took the 50 points this evening in the feature race with Mike taking 45, but like you said, he did take that fastest lap, so he ends up you only end up getting 4 points extra to him, which it doesn't make it doesn't sound good, but obviously the gap's coming down slightly. What are your thoughts then, Mike? Obviously of that feature race there, did you just run out of time to close down that gap? We saw you setting consistent fastest laps.
Yeah, just run out of laps. Didn't have the chance to really catch up to John Boy.
Yeah. And did you have any damage in the end or anything? What was it like out there? Obviously, with it being night time, did you find your tyres were degrading any quicker or slower? How were the brakes?
My rear brakes were just ice cold because I ran a lot of front brake and I had a little bit of damage because I ran wide, but that's all.
Yeah, and obviously talking about damage, we don't really want to talk to Cobb, but how did you manage that, Cobb? I know obviously you're having issues with your wrist at the minute.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I've got the cast off, but I was just pushing a bit too hard, really, and stacked it a couple of times. With him a little bit, and you know, fair play to Meg and John Boy as well. But yeah, maybe just try not to crash so many times next time.
Yeah, well done, fellas. I'm sure we'll see you next week at Nürburgring for round 5 of the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done, guys. We'll see you next week. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the 4th round here at Motive Racing for the Clio Cup. If you want to join us on Thursday for the touring cars, be sure to set your notifications for 8:30 on Thursday evening, where you can tune in for the touring cars. I'm not sure where they're racing, but I'm sure it'll be competitive and fun. I look forward to hearing from you then. I have been Diabetic Lamb. I'll catch you soon.